I've been waiting. Not very patiently either. I know people always imagine monsters as patient, ancient, wise, capable of waiting centuries without complaint. But honestly, I spent the last 15 minutes staring at the door, hoping you'd come back. So, I think that disqualifies me from being mysterious. Though, I suppose I still qualify as a monster. You don't have to stand so close to the exit. I'm not offended. It's just becoming a habit. Every time we talk, you position yourself exactly 3 steps from the nearest way out. Door, window, hallway, it doesn't matter. You always make sure you can run. It's sweet in a way. You still think running is an option. Sorry, that sounded worse than I meant it to. Come on, sit down. Please, for me. See, that's all I had to say. You always sit down when I ask nicely. That's one of the things I like about you. You're polite, even when you're scared. Especially when you're scared. I noticed that the first day we met. Do you remember? Of course you do. You think about it constantly. The abandoned road, the rain, the old bus stop. You found a girl sitting alone, cold, shivering, barefoot, and despite every warning instinct in your body, you stopped. You asked if I was all right. That was your mistake. Not because helping strangers is wrong, not because kindness is weakness, but because you helped me. And I knew immediately what kind of person you were. The dangerous kind. The kind who cares. You don't realise how rare that is. Most people walked right past. Some looked away. Some pretended not to see. One woman actually crossed the street to avoid me, which, in hindsight, was a very sensible decision. But not you. You sat beside me. You gave me your coat, and you asked my name. You smiled, and the moment you smiled, everything became difficult, because monsters aren't supposed to get attached. We're supposed to hunt, to feed, to disappear. Simple, efficient. But then you smiled, and I suddenly wanted things. Complicated things. I wanted another conversation, another smile, another day. wanted you. Not in the way you're thinking. You always assume the worst. I wanted your company, your attention, your time. Those are much harder things to steal, and much more valuable. So I became nice. You remember that part. Everyone remembers the nice part. The shy girl, the grateful girl, the lonely girl. I played the role perfectly. Didn't I? I laughed at your jokes. I listened to your stories. I remembered every little detail. Your favourite drink, your favourite movie, the way you tap your fingers when you're nervous. I learned all of it. And you thought it meant I cared. I did care. That's the funny thing. None of it was fake. I really did enjoy your company. I really did look forward to seeing you. I really did miss you when you were gone. The lie wasn't that I liked you. The lie was that I was nice. You hate that sentence. I can tell. Every time I say something honest, you get that look. Like you're trying to figure out which memories are still safe. Which moments were real. They were all real. That's what makes this difficult. I wasn't pretending to care. I was pretending to be harmless. Very different things. Do you remember when you gave me a key? You do. You trusted me. You said, you don't have to knock every time. And then you laughed. As though you had just done something generous. As though you'd adopted a stray animal. Oh, you poor thing. You thought you were letting me into your life. You never realised I'd already moved in. Not physically. Something worse. Emotionally. I was everywhere by then. Your routines, your habits, your thoughts. You checked your phone hoping I'd text. You looked for me in crowds. You rearranged your schedule to spend more time with me, and you called that friendship. But it wasn't. It was dependency. You just didn't notice because it felt good. Most traps do. If a cage is comfortable enough, people stop rattling the bars. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I know that's hard to believe now, but it's true. I wasn't sitting around plotting. I wasn't laughing behind your back. I wasn't manipulating every conversation. Well, at At least, not at first. I was just happy. Dangerously happy. The kind of happy that becomes possessive. The kind that starts asking questions. Like, what if he leaves? What if he meets someone else? What if one day I'm not enough? Those thoughts grow, like mould, like roots, teeth even. And eventually they start changing you. You noticed, didn't you? The little things. How I always wanted to know where you were. How I seemed upset when plans changed. And how I hated being ignored. How every joke about replacement stopped being funny. You noticed. You just didn't understand why. Because you were still imagining a nice girl. And nice girls don't stare at their phones for 6 hours waiting for one text. Nice girls don't memorize schedules. Nice girls don't feel relieved when someone's plans get cancelled because it means they'll spend more time with them. Nice girls don't secretly resent everyone who takes attention away. But I did. All of it. And worse. Much worse. You know what the most frightening part is? I told myself it was love every single time. Every possessive thought, every selfish impulse, every ugly feeling. I wrapped it in a prettier word. Love. 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 Until eventually I couldn't tell the difference anymore. Maybe there never was one. Maybe obsession is just love with the mask removed. Maybe that's why monsters understand it so well. Because we're terrible at wearing masks forever. Eventually, they slip. And you finally see the teeth underneath. You saw mine. The night you tried to leave. Ah, there it is, that expression. We never talk about that night. You avoid it. I avoid it. For different reasons. You remember packing? You remember the suitcase? Waiting until I was asleep, as though that would have mattered, as though sleep could stop me. I watched you the whole time, standing in the hallway, watching, listening. trying to understand why my chest hurt, why I felt so sick, and why suddenly I hated the idea of the world that didn't include you. And then I realized you weren't coming back. Not tomorrow, not next week, not ever. That you were leaving me. That's when I stopped pretending to be nice. Not publicly, just privately. Inside my own head, I finally admitted what I was. Something selfish. Something possessive. Something that would rather keep you than lose you, even if keeping you was wrong, even if it frightened you. Even if it made me a monster. Especially then, because monsters don't get many opportunities to be happy. And when we do, we don't give them up easily. You think I regret it? Part of me does. The part that sees how scared you are. The part that remembers your kindness. The part that remembers a rainy day and a bus stop and a smile. But another part, a much larger part, looks at you sitting here, still with me, still alive, still listening, and feels victorious. That's the horrible truth, isn't it? You're waiting for the redemption, the apology, the moment where I realise I've become the villain. But villains really think they're villains. And I know exactly what I've become. I simply don't care enough to stop. That's why I was never actually nice. Nice people sacrifice their happiness for others. I sacrificed others for mine. You just happen to be my favourite sacrifice. Oh, don't look at me like that. You're making me feel guilty. And guilt is dangerous. Guilt makes people do irrational things, like letting go, like saying goodbye, opening doors that should stay closed. We don't want that, do we? No, I didn't think so. There. That's better. Just sit with me for a little longer. You always calm down eventually. You always listen eventually. And despite everything, despite all the lies, despite all the fear, despite what I am. You still haven't left. Maybe. Because you can't. Maybe because part of you doesn't want to. Maybe because after all this time you've become a little monstrous too. See? That frightened you more than anything else I've said. Good. It means you're finally paying attention. Because monsters aren't created by claws, or fangs, or ancient curses. They're created by wanting something so badly that eventually nothing else matters. And if that's true, then perhaps the reason I understand you so well is because we're not as different as you'd like to believe. Now, come here. You don't have to be afraid. I know exactly how frightening I am. That's why I learned to smile first. That's why you never noticed until it was much, much too late. Good boy. Stay a little longer. After all, I have been nice enough to ask.